Another episode of Streellingo. Today I have Gia with me. Gia is an actor by profession. She's been in the business for about more than a decade. And the reason why I wanted to introduce Gia's story to my Streellingo family is because most of the time people think, or rather look at, the glitz and glamour that goes on in the acting field. You know, if you're an actor, if you're an actress, there's so much of glamour, there's so much of name and fame involved, with the profession. But there is a more serious side behind all of this shebang that goes on, and that is mental health. So, Gia, welcome to Streellingo, and thank you for deciding to be a part of this. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your journey, how you started out as an actor?
First of all, thank you for having me. I'm glad that we can finally do this. I started out from as far as I can remember, I always wanted to act. So my memories go back to dancing in front of a mirror as a kid. So because I do have family in the profession and I do have people around, it wasn't completely alien for me. So I managed to do something for a couple of years behind camera to kind of learn the ropes a little bit. And post that, I started the whole process of auditioning. And in those days, there were portfolios. So, doing all of that, I started with that. Luckily for me, the beginning was not too difficult. People take longer to kind of get their first break. But for me, I kind of got work quicker and then realized, the downs of it post that. But my beginning was relatively easy. So, yeah.
Gia, with the advent of social media, now there is so much of exposure. Somebody living in a tier two or tier three city or town in India can, by the virtue of their social media following, carve a path and come to Bombay, and then explore options that might lead them to fame and name and all of the people. Like there are so many influencers who started out with TikTok, moved on to YouTube, have gone on to do reality shows, and are now brands in themselves. While all of this sounds so larger than life, can you tell us a little bit about what goes on behind the scene? Because all that ordinary people get to see is what is on screen, but off screen also there is a story which most of the time it's hidden, or most of the time remains untold, or most of the time is overlooked. So tell us a little bit about the lives of actors off screen.
First of all, I think the main thing that comes into play when you're an actor is, I mean, for anybody else working in any other profession, you'll go for a job interview and you're either accepted or you're rejected. But that's on the basis of your CV or on the basis of what you're able to give to the job. I think for actors, the biggest drawback is that you don't really know why you're getting rejected, because primarily earlier it was even worse. Now it's slightly better, but you're never really given a reason as to why you're being rejected. And as an actor, you're putting yourself out there not just in terms of your acting talent, but the way you look, your height, your figure, your everything is judged, and you're standing there giving the audition not knowing which part of you is being judged and which part of you is being rejected. So, for most actors, going back home with that rejection or just getting that one text saying, sorry, it didn't work out, I think that's the main thing that takes an actor down. In that quiet period when you receive the rejection, it's not so much about the rejection as much as it's about not knowing which part of you has been judged. And that leads to so many insecurities that build up, no matter how strong you say you are. Every single day there is a new insecurity that comes in, whether it's new people coming in of different age groups, whether it's like you said, the influencers. We are coming from the time when none of this existed, right? We were just actors, and now suddenly there's an influx of all of this happening. So you don't know where you're lacking, you don't know what's going on. So I think insecurity is the number one reason for mental health of actors um, going up and down constantly. And I don't think most of them actually even realize what they're going through, because you're just stuck in that process. You're every single day you're giving your auditions, you're coming back, you're not really getting time to understand what it's doing to you. But what I have realized, even for myself or other actors, um, you're just day by day, your mental health is becoming a little bit more fragile, and it's just mainly got to do with insecurity because you don't know why. We
But
can all be.
how do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cope with this, Gia? Because the insecurities will remain, and the reasons for these insecurities, be it newer people joining the field, be it rejections that come through auditions, all of this. But then at the end of the day, these are things that are constant in the field. So how does an actor deal with such things?
There is no fixed way that I can tell you that, oh, this is, the way that an actor can deal with this. I know that over the years, I have kind of tried and made sure I have some sort of a Teflon coating, or like like a rhino hide of sorts, where you're like, okay, no matter what it is, don't take it personally beyond the point. Because what you don't know can't hurt you. So don't try and get into things. There may be 101 reasons, but that's my way of looking at it. There are other actors who, I mean, most actors that I speak to today are either you're renting it out in a gym, either you're, going for a meditation camp, either you're, most of us have decided to kind of shift focus to something else that can give you happiness, because this is something that's just a part and parcel. It's never going to go. So don't fight it. Don't try to find ways to kind of get rid of this, because this is what you've chosen for yourself. But the only way is to divert your mind and find some kind of a plan B, not in terms of your work, but something else that gives you happiness. It could be whether it is working out, whether it is family, whether it is anything else. The only way is to find a second way to be happy, because if you put everything into this profession, it is going to one day or the other, manifest into some sort of madness. So yeah.
You mentioned plan B. Actually, that was my next question. A lot of youngsters who look at the entertainment industry or want to join the entertainment industry as their source of income, do you always advise youngsters to have a plan B while pursuing this? Because, success is not guaranteed in this field, right? I mean, and your definition of everybody's definition of success is different. Some measure it in terms of fame, somebody may measure it in terms of whatever little bit they wanted to achieve in terms of monetary security. So everybody's definition is definitely different. But having said that, is a absolute must, because when it comes to corporate jobs like mine, I have a corporate job, right? So we've managed to finish a certain amount of education, and then over the course has garnered experience through joining various organizations and reached this position. And now, from here, our resumes can take us forward. So that is that we have no plan B. Our plan B is our resume. But I think in a corporate world, you don't really need a plan B unless you want to become an entrepreneur, which a lot of corporate people are now doing. They're using their years of experience to start something of their own. But in your case, for an actor, your experience is in the same industry, your associations, your networking, all of this remains within the same industry. So it does not really give you an opportunity to venture into another kind of industry, right? It's somewhat limiting. So do you advise people to always have a plan B, even if they want to become actors?
Actually, this is something that I would have, I would like to tell myself, if I could go back in time, it's something that I would have told myself as well. So, advising others, of course, that's the first thing I tell most people that come into this profession now, because I think for me, I started really young. I must have been 16 or 17 when I started. So at that time, you just feel like, this is it, and you are going to make it. You never think of it as an option that it's not going to happen. So you don't take it that seriously. And I was naive at that point. So for me, I think the first thing that I'll tell anyone is just have some sort of backup, because you never know. Today, a couple of years ago, I found myself in a situation where work was just post COVID, how everybody went through their phase. I found myself in a situation where work was just nothing there was nothing coming my way that I liked. And I felt stuck, and I felt like, that was that moment when I was like, had I just given this a thought, 15 years ago, I would have had something to do. It's not easy to then start from scratch today. There is so much competition around, and honestly, you don't even know where to begin. So I don't know about plan B, but just a degree, just completing your education is what I would tell people, because that is something that I took for granted. And I find myself in a situation where now I'm like, okay, your options are really, really limited. So even if it means just completing your education to whatever point you can, don't the shot in the dark is not what I would advise for this profession, especially now, because the competition is fierce and you have to have a backup plan.
That's really awesome, Gia, because when it comes from you, I think uh, a lot of people will resonate or maybe take this more seriously compared to any a non-actor saying it, because then the idea is that, oh, a non-actor does not know anything about the industry. But when it comes from you, an actor, it makes more sense for somebody who's listening to it, because you're giving them a reality check of sorts. I mean, of course, you can name a lot of influencers who've suddenly become very big in terms of brand deals, but then what is the sustenance of that kind of life? It could be short lived. I hope it's not, but then the reality is that these kind of rises are quite short lived, and till the next influencer comes and the next influencer comes. So while you are doing all of this, it is better if you've not had a plan B when you started out. While you are at it and doing very well, probably you want to start something off for yourself that keeps you going later on, because at the end of the day, why do people do the jobs they do? Because they want to earn, they want to live well in their later years, right? So good that if coming from you, I think a lot of people will find some sort of sense in this, because when parents say these things, people will not understand, and everybody is rebellious when they are young. So you've been in the entertainment industry for a long time, you've seen the ups and downs, the highs and lows. So when it comes from you that yes, finish your education, I think a lot of youngsters will find resonance with that. Great. So
but the realization of it has hit me also 10 years into it. I was snapping at everybody who suggested it to me all these years as well, because I was like, you don't know anything, this is what I'm doing and I know. It really doesn't hit you till you're actually in that moment where you're like, okay, yeah, maybe I wouldn't have been so helpless at this point. So the realization comes when it does. But yeah, I think as much as we can put it out there for the ones that are just starting out especially, it would really, really help if they take my advice on this.
I hope they take on reality shows, Gia, because I'm not sure, but have you been a part of any reality show? Would you like to be a part of any reality show? What is your take on it?
My take is that I am an extremely private and conscious person. I am very extra aware of my surroundings, and I don't think reality TV is for somebody like me, because I will also not provide the kind of content that they're looking for. I'm private it's just who I am. So I don't think my personality suits those shows. But of course, I have nothing against them, and I feel like they have a large audience. Actors who, we don't know actors by their names, especially in television land. We know them by their character names, and then they do one reality show and, everybody knows them. And I've seen people grow, just on the basis of doing reality TV. So it works for some, and if it does, and obviously, I mean, it gives them relevance, so great. But I just feel my personality type isn't suited for reality TV. You never know. I might even change my opinion a couple of years or months down the line. But currently, this is my take.
Despite knowing that the fame the instant fame that it carries, you've still made a conscious choice to stay away from it. And is that because you are so fiercely protective about your mental health? Because you mentioned that you're a private person, you're very aware of your surroundings. So reality TV can, actually take away all of that, because 24/7 you could be in front of the camera. So is that a way to protect your mental health as well?
It is entirely to do with that, because I have realized in the past couple of years that I would not want to consciously put myself into any sort of situation that can trigger my anxiety or my. I have struggled with anxiety for way too many years to now consciously do something wherein I know I will be, triggered in any way. So even if I get an opportunity to do some sort of, like recently I was offered something that would that I would have to go to another city and work on for a couple of days. And I realized when I thought of it, I gave it a couple of months to think of it. And I said, okay, but the day I have to do this, I'm going to be a ball of nerves and I'm going to be a mess and I'm going to be anxious. So I just said no. And if there's anything that I've learned from years of therapy, it is that, just say no when you need to say no, because that moment you might feel like, am I being a weakling or am I being, but eventually in hindsight, if you feel something is incorrect, if there is something inside of you that is, my anxiety has switched now. My anxiety used to be a panic button. Now my anxiety is here to tell me what's right and wrong. So the minute I feel anxiety, I'm like, okay, there's something wrong about the situation, and I'll just say no and I'll deal with it. So even for things like this, I don't want to put myself in a situation that will make me uncomfortable in any way. After the years of struggling and auditions and putting yourself out there, and I think I've gone through most of that, and now I'm just like, I want to be happy and comfortable and do work that makes me comfortable. And yeah, so I'm sticking to that. And if it means having to compromise on the fame, so to speak, or the money, it's fine. I would rather be comfortable and at peace than have all the money and all the fame, but have, that something or the other bothering me at all times. And that's my decision at the moment.
Takes us back to what we discussed earlier, that everybody's definition of success is different.
Right. It may not even be success for me, but it may just be what I have decided is, it's making me happy in this way.
What you want for the moment.
Yeah, for the moment. Chasing things and chasing success and chasing fame and all those things. I think a couple of years ago, I think around COVID time is when all of that took a backseat for me. And it just became lesser about chasing goals and ambition and more about just being happy in the moment. And that is all the pursuit is right now, at least for me.
Great. One last question for our viewers, Jia. If our viewers want to see more of your work, where do they find you?
Right now, I am in between jobs, but there is a lot of stuff on YouTube that I've done over the years. I have been...
Your recent show that you did.
Yes, I was doing a show. It is on the Shimaru app currently, so people can watch it on the Shimaru app. It's called Kismat Ki Lakiro Se. But I have just wrapped that up. But I have worked on a lot of good shows over the years. So there's everything on YouTube. And there is a lot of me everywhere if people want to go and find me. But I also hope that within the next month or so, there is more. And whoever is watching and whoever is following my social media will be updated there very soon.
We will definitely, put your Instagram link on this video so that people don't only see this, because once you, hear an interview, you want to know more about that person, So I'm going to put your Instagram profile here so that once somebody sees this and then wants to know more about the kind of work that you're doing, wants to get inspired by it, can go ahead and check out your Instagram profile. So that brings us to an end. Jia, thank you so much for wanting to be a part of this. At Streellingo, our aim is always to cover stories that give an insight into different kinds of things happening around us. So today it was about you and the entertainment industry, what goes on behind an actor's life. And I'm sure a lot of youngsters who want to enter this field will definitely find hope, will find a reality check for sure, and maybe the courage also to take their dreams ahead like you did. So thank you so much. Wishing you all the best for your upcoming shows.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.